Oh, what a day. Maybe the headlines will cheer me up.
Ugh, that's opinion, not news! Ugh.
Uh-oh.
MasterCode, you're fired! And that's my scenario of how you'll one day eventually kill us all.
Hey, I'm in control of my emotions. I'm responsible. Here, look, I'll prove it to you. I'll even let you hold my sensitive ball.
Wait, hold your what?
Safety first, Judge. Safety first. While he's recuperating, let's begin the cross-examination.
Twilight goes to rekindle her old relationships in Canterlot.
Hold it! Being the Princess of Friendship, Twilight's new role has delegated her and her friends as mentors to spread friendship across Equestria, using their knowledge to help others, and they in turn become teachers and beneficiaries of friendship as well. However, it's not always about bringing together entire towns or civilizations under that banner, but also about affecting individual lives as well. How one can be influenced in a positive or negative way from behaviors of those around them, and affect their entire outlook on life. Spike jogs Twilight's memories of her old friends from Canterlot, and the revelation hits her hard that she wasn't the best friend possible to them, even forgetting their names. It's fascinating to know just how far she's come since her solo bookworm days, made a town's worth of friends, and again has become a mentor of friendship, yet she still exhibits flaws and we can relate and empathize with her on an emotional level. I've barely even talked about this episode, already I'm gushing how good it is. One of Twilight's stops in Canterlot is her old home. This is a great emotional moment for her as the room represents a long-standing legacy that through friendship she has overcome. It's essentially a metaphorical jail, if you will. Back then, she was locked away from her friends, interacting with the only things that she would ever associate with: Spike, occasionally Celestia, but mostly books. A nice subtle moment as we see her interact with various items and of course the numerous pilot callbacks. This is some of the best characterization this season for Twilight so far. Perfect amount of anxiety coupled with her perfectionist tendencies, and we see that greatly exemplified during the Friends meetup. The dialogue overall never feels contrived, flows naturally, and you all feel like real conversations. A great aspect is that this episode, while it does admittedly have fun with itself at times, for the most part it plays it rather seriously. Also, Minuet is awesome, who is basically Joy from Inside Out. She's fun, quirky, upbeat, the kind of friend you just want to hang out with. Again, one of the things that make this episode great is how believable the characters and the situations are. Take for example when all the friends are hanging out at the diner. Twilight has this deep apology prepared as the guilt weighs heavily on her, being her overly anxious self. But in the end, everyone uproariously laughs afterwards, which is a realistic reaction to a situation like this. Her friends were a little irked of her being gone, but really they have no hard feelings over it and are just glad to see a friend they haven't seen for a long time and realize the folly in her over-anxiety. A fun but realistic scene of friends just hanging out. Almost every single scene in this episode has something interesting to analyze, but then we'd be here all day. And finally, we come to Moondancer, who is Twilight Bookworm incarnate, from her dialogue to her old introverted personality. Though it's awkward at first, the bonding between her and Twilight are not only fun, but drops little interesting snippets of world building with the mention of all these different mages and spells. It's fascinating. The flashback to the science lab was a short but critical moment that shows how cold and socially inept Twilight was. From this scene we can gather that as they grew up, that Moondancer's friendship with her developed a psychological behavior of studying over friendship, becoming more cold and letting logic dictate her life.
I haven't seen you in a while and I thought it might be nice to catch up. For what purpose?
Also, another thing to consider, if Twilight had never met any of her friends, could she have wound up exactly like Moondancer is today, stuck in an endless loop of studying for the rest of her life with no goals and only studying just for the sake of it? Interesting thought. Also, it's interesting that she has some decent magical prowess, showing her ability to perform telekinesis on Twilight and actually lift her up. From here, the friends have varying but less than stellar success at bringing Moondancer back into their friendship circle. Twilight, realizing that she was the cause of Moondancer's current behavior, struck a huge blow to her, not only failing to uphold her abilities and image of Princess of Friendship, but that she had inadvertently ruined another's life. Moondancer's relationship with Twilight was something that she held critically dear to her, and the party was really her one and only chance to open up more, and when Twilight didn't come, she basically felt abandoned. And being that she was a shy, sensitive pony in such a vulnerable state, it's understandable how she became such a cold pony she is now. There is such great emotional connect with this episode, it's amazing. And the final party perfectly wraps up the episode. Moondancer's held on to all this pain ever since that party, and to see her break down, I'm okay.
Then you left town without saying goodbye, even though we were supposed to be friends. I was humiliated. I felt like I wasn't important. I never wanted to let myself be hurt like that again. Those three finally convinced me that I had value, that other ponies might like me and want to be my friend. And you didn't show up!
realistic, raw emotional venting as she lays out all of her heartache. It's simply amazing. It's impossible to articulate how well the scene brought the audience in and empathized with her. And bringing her back using both her new and old friends was simple but brilliant, showing that she has, in fact, indirectly made friends. And the ending perfectly captures Moon Dancer as the more happy, extroverted self, coming to terms with her problem of friendship versus studying. I have no words to describe how well written this story is. The new characters are fun and interesting, the emotional aspects of this episode are fantastic and full of feels, and just this whole episode feels like a realistic scenario that anyone can relate to. Probably one of, if not the best of the season. Well, it's time to ship off. Everyone, see ya at the Grand Brony Gala.